if I was to ask you all, just for a moment, stop and think, what might be your dream death? Take a moment. So people and research tell us that the dream death is actually drifting away, surrounded by the people that we love, knowing that our loved ones are okay. And mythology forever has been looking for the elixir of eternal youth. But we know that it is just that, a myth. We even have a proverb for it: birth, death, and taxes, the only thing you can be 100% sure of. And I'm not talking about unexpected deaths. And most of us in this room have lost people through tragedy who we know we'd rather have still beside us. But I am talking about expected deaths, because every person in this room is dying. We have a finite amount of beats in our hearts, and that's just medical science. So what's the problem? So we've got a fantastic NHS, we know that. But actually what we also know is our hospitals are full of people that really should not be in hospital. And that's the same place that many, many people still think it's a good idea to go to die. Okay, so think about a busy hospital ward, an ED department. It's really bright. It's really noisy. It doesn't smell very pleasant. You're surrounded by people that don't know you very well. And it can be frightening. And actually, it's undignified. And actually, what our incredible NHS has done over the years is, in too many cases, very sadly, medicalised what is a natural process. So for all of us in the room that will age, and as we age, we will collect diagnoses, we know that actually that dying process becomes closer, and as is always inevitable. So my heritage is Irish. And if you're Irish, death and dying is absolutely in the vernacular of conversations you're having with everyone on a daily basis. And that is because 200 years ago, the population of Ireland was halved through famine. So those conversations that loved ones would need to have with their loved ones in order to prepare safely for the inevitability of death was something that's actually still deep-rooted in their culture. And my Irish mother, I grew up with her saying, "You bury me over here, I'll haunt you." Because the idea of dying in a medical environment, but also being in a situation where you can't be buried within the 48 hours she expects, is just an abomination to her, so much so that she's moved home. I think the other thing for me is that at 17, I was diagnosed with an intrusive long-term condition. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And at 17, I was given a diagnosis that actually took me to considering my own mortality. And at 17, thank you very much, it was live hard and fast and be dead by 40. But that changed when I had children. Okay? But it did leave me with that internal conversation of death and dying and having some control over what is a really important and final stage in my life. And I absolutely believe that the right to a good death is as paramount as the right to life. And we have some very useful legislation in this country, which actually gives us more choice and control over what are inevitable events for many, many, many of us. And that is the Mental Capacity Act. And the Mental Capacity Act gives us a legal framework for preparing for a time where we may not be able to make our own decisions, but we would want our loved ones to make them on our behalf because we've had those conversations with our loved ones and we trust them to make those decisions on our behalf. And cardiopulmonary resuscitation is a really good case in point. Okay, so you'll all have seen it on the telly, and someone has a heart attack, they fall to the ground, someone bounces on their chest and they're alive. But actually, the success rate of cardiopulmonary resuscitation out of hospital is 7%. And it only rises to 20% when you're in hospital and you've got access to immediate shocking, adrenaline, and a huge bunch of medics and nurses around you. So it's not like it's on the telly. Someone bouncing on your chest may cause you injury. It's undignified, and you're not likely to survive. But actually, what we also have is a legal framework that says, actually, if I have a heart attack and my heart stops, actually, do you know what? I've had a good innings. I know I don't want to have this experience. I am not going to allow you to deliver that treatment to me. Now, we're not allowed to request treatments, but we are allowed to say which treatments we don't want. And for my children and other people in this room that have known and loved me for a long time, I've had conversations with those people that in the event of me experiencing a catastrophic event, like likely a stroke, but actually where I would be reliant on somebody for all my continence needs, my swallow would be so unsafe, I would be unable to eat and drink safely. I wouldn't be able to get up and move around, and I may not be able to speak. So I'm reliant on other people for all of my care needs. And believe me, I've nursed people that require me to meet all of those care needs, absolutely willingly and rightly. But if that were to happen to me, because I am an insulin-dependent diabetic, and with my family and loved ones given the clear instruction and with it written down so other people know, it's a legally binding document that means I am not allowed to receive insulin. That decision is taken away from other people because I've made that decision as an advance directive to refuse life-sustaining treatment. That isn't to say I have some horrible death. I'm still provided with comfort and treatments. So I am allowed to have that dignified, peaceful death, surrounded by people that know they've given me as much choice and control over my final moments that I've always wanted. So to you today, I say, have the courage to have difficult conversations that culturally we're not great at doing. And believe me, it can be funny. I have been to a death cafe for people with a learning disability and painted coffins. People, why wait until you're dead for a wake? I don't want to miss my own party. A living wake is a much better idea. But it takes courage to have those conversations, and they're uncomfortable. And you need to have them with people that you have that connection with because they're your loved ones and they want to respect your rights and wishes for that final stage in an important life. So communicate those wishes, and if you can, get them written down. Courage, connection, communication, and the right to a good death.